Hi everyone, I'm Seven Glory Sunrise, and today I am reviewing the Osho Zen Tarot. This is one of my favorite tarot decks of all time. It's really deep, it's really beautiful. I first encountered this deck at a yoga studio a few years ago. They had a bunch of the cards laid out on a table and you could pick one, and I was just like, oh my god, these are so beautiful and so inspirational and so meaningful. I have to have the deck. So I did get it for myself eventually, and now I'm pleased to share it with you. So this is the box. There is sample art from a couple of the cards. A lot of the cards have this real like colorful, dreamy style of imagery. And on the back, it's got this blurb talking about how basically a lot of people will look to tarot like, what should I do? What decision should I make? You know, what is the future going to bring? Blah, 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 blah. And it's really about like consulting the condition of the mind, because the condition of the mind is determining what is showing up in the outside world, which is how I read anyway. So the box is kind of big. It's not one of those that's easy to carry around. If you want to carry the deck around, you might want to get a little bag for it. But there's a very good reason for the box being this large, which is the book. And this book is phenomenal. Like it's big. It's not filler though. You know, some tarot books are just like a lot of space and like a few words, and or like the pictures will be full page. So each of these, on one side of the page, they will have a black and white version of the card, and then a description or a commentary on the card. And then on the opposite page, they will have a relevant quote from Osho. And a lot of these, man, they're so profound and so deep. I'll read you a couple later on, but let's get a little further into the review first. Okay, one thing that I am not crazy about with this deck is the design on the back. It looks like this. Okay. It's basically a scribble on some blobs, and I was like trying to make sense of it. I was like, is that a signature? Is it music? No, it's literally just like a squiddle on some blobs. But you know, I'm sure that's very deep and meaningful in some respect. I'm sure it refers to like the human mind trying to make sense of the blobs of human experience, of experience. But anyway, the cards themselves are very beautiful. We're gonna go through the major arcana first, and I will say that I would not call this a beginner deck, in the sense that, like, if you are trying to learn tarot in a relatively traditional style, a lot of the card meanings in this deck depart pretty wildly from the traditional tarot meanings. Some of them are pretty consistent, but I would say like about half of them are anywhere from a little bit different to quite different. But it's like, at the same time, you don't have to be super experienced to read with it, because even the minor arcana ones have a word or a phrase that sums up the meaning of the card on the bottom of it. So it's almost like an oracle deck in that sense. So let's go through the major arcana. We have the Fool, Existence instead of the Magician, which is kind of like, the Magician is really someone who knows that they are one with the universe. I get it. The Inner Voice for the High Priestess. Well, the High Priestess is connecting with the inner voice and like the wisdom of the great divine within. We have Creativity for the Empress. Okay, you can see that, because the Empress is all about like fertility and like, abundance, and she's a creator. She creates life. She's pregnant on the card. The Emperor is represented as the rebel, which is kind of the opposite of the traditional meaning. I think the Emperor is kind of like stodgy and like the enforcer and the divine masculine that's like, my will be done, and the rebel is like, my will be done, but it's like, breaking away for the pack instead of trying to reinforce the hierarchy. This one is really different. The Hierophant is just nothingness, the void. Pretty cool. The Lovers, Awareness instead of the Chariot. Pretty different, but very profound. Courage for strength, and it shows a flower going out of a walk. And that's pretty sweet, like how we can survive in all kinds of conditions. I'm going to try to hold these a little bit better so you can see these beautiful images. The Hermit, aloneness, Wheel of Fortune has changed. This one is really cool looking. What a beautiful wheel, Mandela. Justice here is represented as breakthrough, which does depart a lot from the traditional meaning, but if you're following the narrative of the cards, then I feel like this is the moment where everything kind of comes together and you're able to jump to a new level of reality. The Hanged Man represented by new vision, which is one of the meanings of the Hanged Man traditionally, is like getting a new perspective on things, but it's also usually a kind of a death, a surrendering, or it can be like a state of helplessness or suspension. So, as I said, a lot of the meanings depart somewhat radically, anywhere from subtly to somewhat radically. But I really like the alternative takes on them. Like if you have been doing tarot for a while and you're looking for a new perspective, if you're looking for more depth in your interpretations, I think this is a really good deck to do that with. Transformation for death, which we all know that's what the death card really is. And the art on this is just super, super cool. Integration for Temperance, which is really what Temperance is about. It's about like the alchemy of bringing all the things together and creating them into something new. This one I really like. Conditioning for the Devil. The lion is in chains and being surrounded by sheep and like covered by a sheepskin, because it's like that's what the devil really is. That's when we forget our true nature and are kind of stuffed into the smallness of this world by circumstance and by the people around us and by the people above us. It's deep. Thunderbolt for the Tower, which really, the Tower is often taken as a card of kind of disaster. But the original meaning was really like a bolt of inspiration from the heavens. And this stays pretty clear to that. It still does have the little people falling from the giant person. Silence for the Star, which like, okay, it's like connecting to the divine, the silence within. Past lives for the Moon. And honestly, the Moon is a lot about the past and like looking to the past for reference points and basing your emotions on like the undercurrents of things that have all gone before. The Sun here is innocence, and it's really sweet. It's like this old man laughing with a grasshopper, and it's just like, oh my god, that is so sweet. That is so sweet. And like, you don't have to be 5 years old to have innocence. You can reconnect with your innocence at any age, at any stage, just by going into the moment and seeing the beauty of things. Beyond illusion is judgment, and this is when the veil is really lifted. The butterfly here, I think, is supposed to represent the illusion because it's all like flap, 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 and but then behind it, there's like the giant eye. I don't know. I'm reaching a little. Okay, and then completion, the world. And the world is about completion. It's when you kind of realize your wholeness and get to the happily ever after. There is one bonus card in this deck, which is the Master. It's a picture of Osho, but it's not just about Osho. It can be like, it's about the state of mastery, which theoretically could be achieved by anyone, a state of higher consciousness. So let's get to the minor arcana. And I'm not going to go through every card in the deck exhaustively. I would like to point out that although I have arranged these in the traditional way for this reading, like Ace, 210, and then Page, Knight, Queen, King, they don't come packaged that way. And they're not that way in the book. The layout, the order they put them in is kind of confusing. Because like in the book, and then I think also when they first came out of the box, they had like all the court cards, but backwards. It was like the king, then the queen, then the knight, then the page. And then they have like the ace after the 10, which is also kind of weird. So like that part is a little disorienting at first, but once you get used to it, like it's fine. The other unusual thing about the court cards is that they don't actually say like page, king, queen, knight on the cards. They have these little arrows instead. So like the right arrow represents the page, the left arrow represents the knight, the down arrow is the queen, and the up arrow is the king, which is pretty cool. And then the aces, instead of like saying the ace, it's just this triangle colored with the color of the suit. In this case, fire is red. So the source is the Ace of Wands. We have possibilities, experiencing, participation, Four of Wands, Five of Wands, totality. And this is cool because like this is another one that lends a really beautiful meaning to a card that's often kind of difficult. The Five of Wands is often seen to be about conflict, especially interpersonal conflict, but here it's really about like people working together and trusting one another and relying on each other, and also like being in the totality of the moment. Like the trapeze artist cannot afford to be out of the moment, you know. They're like in it to win it all the way. Success, victory, Six of Wands, pretty consistent. Seven of Wands here is represented as stress, whereas normally it's often seen as kind of fighting, you know, like you against the world. Eight of Wands is traveling. Again, that's a little bit different. I normally think of the Eight of Wands as just like pure force or impulse that's driving toward a goal. And, you know, traveling is, it's got a lot of different connotations, but it is also kind of an impersonal card. There's no human figures on this card. You know, it's about like wandering the world. Nine of Wands is exhaustion, and 10 of Wands is suppression. Pretty close together in meaning for my taste, but you know, it works. And then we have playfulness for the page, intensity for the knight, sharing for the queen, and the creator for the king. So like that's a really cool suit. I'm gonna show you the swords in a little bit, and like that one's kind of a head trip. They're all pretty cool, but like the swords is really kind of messed up. So okay, so here we have Ace of Cups. Sorry, the suit of cups. I'm going through the suits in order. Going with the flow, Ace of Cups. Two of Cups is friendliness, whereas the Two of Cups often is more about romantic love. This is just about like the blending of energies, you know, where people are connecting in divine harmony and sharing their gifts and talents with each other. It's really beautiful. This is beautiful too. Celebration, Three of Cups. The women are dancing in the rain and just having the time of their lives. Four of Cups, turning in, you know, so this woman, like in the Four of Cups, normally it shows a man or a woman on some decks kind of looking sad and introspective and like thinking way too much and brooding about the past. And this one, it's got a much more positive connotation of turning in, where you're like listening only to your own inner voice and not, you know, like in the description, I think it says something about how the woman is aware of the myriad of you know, like faces and energies surrounding her, but she is choosing to ignore it and only rely on her own consciousness, you know. So I like how a lot of the cards have more positive connotations, because when I read, I try to do so from a proactive place. Like if I get a lot of the cards that are traditionally considered challenging, I'm not just like, well, you're screwed. I'm like, okay, so this is the energy that's available. This is the energy that could be available, and this is what you can do about it. Five, clinging to the past. See, this is like fun. Some of these are really like cartoony and fun, which I think is a good balance to the depth of the deck, because sometimes when things are deep, they kind of lose us, but then they've got this like cartoony edge to some of them, where like she's got this like weird box of crap on her head, which represents clinging to the past, which is like, honestly, when you are clinging to the past, like you can kind of picture it as like a weird box of crap on your head, because that shit is not out there. It's like only in your head. Six of Cups, the dream. Seven of Cups, projections. This one's a little bit different, but it is also about like illusion. And the Seven of Cups normally more about illusion and like sort of being bewildered by a myriad of choices. Whereas this one is more about illusion in the sense of us like projecting our own stuff onto the outside world and then only seeing the projections that other people emanate instead of their true natures. 8, letting go. It's very calm, peaceful, beautiful. This is another one with no human figures on it. 9 of Cups, laziness. This is one with a slightly more negative connotation than normal, because like in the Rider-Waite, the 9 of Cups guy looks like he's just having a grand old time, and he kind of looks like he's earned it. Here, it's like, this is sloth, you know, just like sloth and greed and like, whatever, like I got my stuff and I don't care. 10 of Cups, harmony, and this is really beautiful with the dolphins. And the harmony only shows a single human figure, and that kind of shows that harmony is an inside job. It's not about getting along with other people necessarily. It's about getting along with all of creation. Page of Cups, understanding. Knight of Cups is trust. The Queen, receptivity. This one's super beautiful with the lotus and the lines. And I think there's like there's a woman in there somewhere. She's very abstracted. And Knight of Cups is healing. What do we have? Okay, this is a really cool suit. We've got the suit of swords. Now they call it clouds in this deck because the mind is often taken over by clouds. So consciousness is the ace, and that's a really beautiful card. I might read that one out of the book later. But then it kind of goes downhill from there. 2 of Swords represented as schizophrenia, which is normally the 2 of Swords is more of like kind of a stalemate, or like a barricading oneself from the outside world. But here it's really like the mind is divided against self. 3 of Swords, isolation. 4 of Swords, postponement. 5, comparison. See, this deck it's really about the crazy things we do with our minds are really highlighted in the suit of swords or clouds in this deck. 7, politics. This one is a lot about like shame and secrecy and lying and sneaking around typically. So I think pretty fitting that it would be represented by politics and like the dude with a snake and a fake face. 8 of Swords here is guilt. Okay, that's kind of scary. She's got like demons reaching up and like scratching her all over the head. And then 9 is sorrow, and this is really sad. It is like a monk crying, and it's like, why would a monk cry? He's devoted his life to God. He should be happy all the time. Well, happens to everyone, I guess. And then 10, rebirth from a lion. Woo! Page of Swords here is the mind. This is your mind on Earth, I guess. This is what Earth does to your mind. Fills it full of crap. Knight of Swords, fighting. Queen of Swords, morality. Kind of crazy, abstracted, old lady type figure there. And then the 7, or the, God, what year is it? The King of Clouds here, control. And this man in this like golden box. All right, one more suit, and then I'm gonna show a little bit from the book itself. So the Earth suit in this deck is the suit of rainbows, and this one is really resplendent and really beautiful. And again, it's got a lot more layers of meaning than the typical suit of Earth does. Maturity is the ace. Moments of moments. 2 of Pentacles, kind of about finding balance and like, staying present and maneuvering between things deftly. 3, guidance. Pretty different from the original. 4 is the Miser, very consistent with the original meaning, although the artwork is very different. And I like the addition of like a brick wall and a woman kind of holding all of her jewels and looking fearful. 5 of Pentacles, the Outsider. And yeah, this is again one where the imagery is very different than the traditional, but the meaning is pretty similar. 6, Compromise. 7 of Rainbows, Patience. And I really like this one. It's like this beautiful rainbow goddess woman with the moon cycle over her head. Ordinariness is 8 of Earth, which I don't know. I mean, the eight of Pentacles typically is about kind of like diligent work, steadfast efforts, and just keeping on, keeping on. And I think they're kind of trying to tell us how ordinariness can be a beautiful thing, how you can find bliss in your everyday, day-to-day work and life. 9, Ripeness, the Harvest, the woman celebrating her abundance. And 10, We Are the World. This one is so beautiful. So like normally the 10 of Pentacles is about like this rich family like celebrating their richness and like looking over their vast estate. This one is like we are all the family and we are rich when we are together, and we have to cherish this home that is Earth and this family, which is everyone. Page of Rainbows here, Adventure. The night is slowing down. Queen, Flowering. Look how beautiful this woman is. Yeah, that is abundance. That is an Earth Mother if I've ever seen one. And then here is the King, Abundance. And I just want to read one page out of this book because the book is like indispensable. Like I would buy the book just by itself, even if it didn't come with the deck. Because it's so deep. And like when you first get this deck, I highly recommend sitting down with it like before you shuffle the deck and try to use it for a reading. Like go through, look at each card, read the whole thing associated with it, and just like drink in its beauty and drink in its depth, because there is so much meaning and so much beauty and so much like soul enriching stuff in this. All right. I think I promised you the Ace of Clouds or Swords, which here is consciousness. So again, we've got like a black and white version of the card, and then we have their commentary, and then we have an Osho quote, which is usually very relevant and very deep. Even though it's not directly about the card, it'll give you a lot of meaning and a lot of insight. Most of the cards in this suit of the mind are either cartoon-like or troubled because the influence of the mind in our lives is generally either ridiculous or oppressive. But this card of consciousness shows a vast Buddha figure. He is so expansive he has gone even beyond the stars, and above his head is pure emptiness. He represents the consciousness that is available to all who become a master of the mind and can use it as the servant it is meant to be. Excuse me for a moment. I was looking for the card so you can actually see it as I'm talking about it. You can tell I don't have a lot of video camera experience because I'm like, where's the camera? Oh my God, I'm backwards. Anyway, when you choose this card, it means that there is a crystal clarity available right now, detached, rooted in the deep stillness that lies at the core of your being. There is no desire to understand from the perspective of the mind. The understanding you have now is existential, whole, in harmony with the pulse of life itself. Accept this great gift and share it. And here's the Osho quote that is associated with this, the Ace of Swords or the Ace of Clouds. We come from the unknown, and we go on moving into the unknown. We will come again. We have been here thousands of times, and we will be here thousands of times. Our essential being is immortal, but our body, our embodiment, is mortal. Our frame in which we are, our houses, the body, the mind, they are made of material things. They will get tired, they will get old, they will die. But your consciousness, for which Bodhidharma uses the word no mind, Gautama Buddha has also used the word no mind, is something beyond body and mind, something beyond everything. That no mind is eternal. It comes into expression and goes again into the unknown. The movement from the unknown to the known, and from the known to the unknown, continues for eternity unless somebody becomes enlightened. Then that is his last life. Then this flower will not come back again. This flower that has become aware of itself need not come back to life, because life is nothing but a school in which to learn. He has learned the lesson. He is now beyond illusions. He will move from the known for the first time, not into the unknown, but into the unknowable. So that is just one card from this magnificent deck. The Osho Zen Tarot, highly recommended. Thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you.